Let me ask the question I wanted to ask earlier on, which I think a lot of people will be interested in. Lagos is a no man's land. Everybody says Lagos is a no man's land. During the last elections, remember the statements of the Oba of Lagos and how controversial it was, and it's an ongoing debate, discussion. Did you find an answer in this book with regards to the founding of Lagos and the ownership of Lagos? Did you find that in this book?
I didn't need to read this book to find that out because I've always known that I'm a student of land economics. But what is important to state is the fact that as a Yoruba person, you know, the Yoruba people say that a madman has no relative till you kill him. Then you see the people that come and carry his corpse. If that happens about the madman, also about land, it's not possible that there is no man's land. Somebody got there first. I mean, there are various ways in which people acquire land. I mean, first priority, pioneer occupation is one of the ways to prove you are the first person to get there. It's not possible for anybody to say, I am a Yoruba man, I am from Ondo State. I can't claim my own Lagos. The best I can do is to buy a piece of land. And the fact that I bought it from somebody shows that the person has a superior interest or has an historically superior interest that he passed on to me. So this book talks about the powers and the authority of the Ejos, and talks about the fact that they own the land in Lagos. And talks again, very important for those that stay in the Lekki axis, the importance of the Olumegbo title. Because, you know, when Olumegbo went to court recently and got judgments for all the lands in Lekki, people were arguing. I say it's because you did not know where the Olumegbo is coming from. It comes from the Ejos. The same error that you referred to that the British made is what we're still making now when we say the Oba of Lagos. And again, for us to say that the Obaship structure in Lagos is a little bit different from the case of other Yoruba towns. And particularly with respect to land ownership, because in various parts of Yoruba land, the Oba has quite a lot of control over real estate, as against Lagos, where the Dejos, the white cap chiefs, as they call them, are the ones that own the land. And potentially, the Oba himself is like, to use the legal correct word to describe you, a customary tenant to them. In the sense that while he could do anything on the land, is anything that violated their rights would not be acceptable. And that's what the customary tenant is. So, Lagos is not a no man's land. The owners of Lagos know the owner of Lagos. If Lagos is a no man's land, very soon somebody will say my car is a no man's car. This book tells you who owns it and mentions the name of the traditional ruler. So you can actually go to work to them. I mean, you can go to the Olumegbo and say, help me understand. And you know, that's one thing that this kind of books help you do. It also connects you to life. So, for example, you know, there's a chief called Chief so and so is the successor to this. So you can, if he stays in your neighborhood, walk to him and say, sir, I want to understand this. Because he has not mentioned names of dead people. He has mentioned names of offices that still exist till date in Lagos. So this book answers the question, who owns Lagos?
Dr. Cole, I sensed from your book that you didn't share your personal views about the ownership of Lagos. You just stated what you thought were facts. And I'm not sure you even talked about ownership of today's Lagos as we know it. You only spoke about what happened in the 1800s and how land was distributed among, or was owned by the chiefs in the traditional structure of Lagos and so on. Am I correct?
Well, no, you are correct up to a certain age. Ownership is a misnomer so far as traditional politics is concerned. Lagos is divided into quarters. There is the Sero quarters, the Olobo area. There are the Brazilian quarters, Lafiaji and all those places. Then there are, as I mentioned, the Oshodi areas. So the various places that people come from and have been, known to have settled in those areas, there is no way in which Lagos is any less owned by all the Brazilians or all the Saros who have existed here as at today. Also, remember that land was known to be an instrument of use. In other words, if you wanted land, they asked you, what did you want it for? Now, if you want it for farming, they gave you a piece of land to farm. When that activity ceased, the farm reverted to the person who gave it to you originally. It's not yours to use to do something different for the reasons for which you have been given earlier. So to that extent, those who do argue that the white cap chiefs are the owners of Lagos have a right. But again, always remember that it was for use. And also always remember that I'm using books and concepts which must have been extremely difficult to translate to the colonial officers. But even so, most of the research was also done in Lagos because I didn't speak to all the various orbers. And there's no doubt whatsoever that you do have a class of land-owning chiefs in Lagos. The traditional, what you call traditional politics, that's basically the people, you have to remove the Saros and the Liberians and the Liberians and all these other people. But the indigenous people in Lagos have remained vital to the politics of Lagos. And that is why Lagosians, when they tell you, say, who are the owners of Lagos, they say something like, we know ourselves. Lagosians know themselves. And if you ask the question, then they assume that you are not a Lagosian. That's why you're asking a question about that. But how has it impacted the basic, they still vote in the way in which they've always voted. So whether it was the time of Olorunimbe or the times of Jakonde or the times of Tinubu, that group still follows the leadership that they regard as their traditional leaderships. That is what the Obas and the indigenous people of Lagos wanted. And they continue, and they will continue for quite some time to come. But the mixture of people you call stranger elements is trying to ameliorate some of these very strong tendencies to relate to only one kind of interpretation. Many books have now been written on land law, so far as Lagos is concerned, trying to prove that all along, Lagos has always insisted that the land belongs to Lagosians. And I think there are about 3 books now that have followed legal history to show that this is something which the Lagosians could make a claim to. But you have a constitution that says that you are free to live and reside anywhere in Nigeria, and your rights are not diminished by the fact that somebody is making a claim that all the land belongs to him, because you as a Nigerian have a right to stay in Lagos. And to that extent, there are changes that are now being accepted, and that the traditional societies in Lagos have accepted this. What I ought to also remind you is that even our eating habits, the Lagos eating habits, have been affected by the arrival of the slaves from Brazil, who came, the ones that we now call people who live in Brazilian quarters. You may not know that akara is not actually a Yoruba food. It's a Brazilian food, which when they came back in 1871, started making akara here. In Brazil, they call it akaraje, and then you call it akara here. Malbosa, various names of food items have been introduced. So you have a system of symbiosis and assimilation between the various people who came from outside and the Lagosians, whether it be for land, whether it be for food, whether it be for dancing, whether it be for culture, plus Benin. These have all come together to produce the uniqueness that is Lagos today.
I hope you have enjoyed yourself today. Please join us again next week for another episode of the channel's Book Club. Before then, we'll be happy if you join us on any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. My name is Olakunle Kasumo. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.